All right. Good morning, y'all. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here with you all today, um, coming live from my house. I've always wanted to do creative mornings because it kind of signifies that you've like made it. You're there. So whenever I got the call or the email, I was like elated. Yeah. So let's jump into it. So if Creative Mornings had like if I could, Creative Mornings could have licensed this song, I would have said, put this song on. So I would say, Start It From the Bottom by Drake. So that's what I want people to put in your head right now, because I'm going to start from the bottom and kind of tell you like my story, tell you like how I got where I am. So I say this, just your normal, average American guy. And I say that because a lot of, so I always loved nature. I've always loved hiking, camping, being outside, playing sports, being outdoors, working in outdoor recreation. So some pictures here you can see on my screen. These are from just various adventures, from hiking in the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma, cooking a steak with a friend, camping, being outside in Fort Riley, Kansas with my parents. I worked at Lake Elmer Thomas in Oklahoma as a recreational aide in high school and playing soccer. I played soccer all the way through college, and I love soccer. So nature, being outside has just been me. Like I've never been like a really a big indoors person, hanging out at bars, stuff like that, video games. And if I could, I was outside, and I was the type of kid that was out until the lights came on. Like parents said, you need to have the street lights come on, come inside. So I was the kid that was at the last moment waiting for that little flicker, and that's when I would go inside. So I just love the outdoors. Another big aspect of me is my family. So I have a really strong, beautiful Black family, and that's important because like my parents grounded me in my identity, and they encouraged me and my siblings to really celebrate who we are. They talked about history, like Black history, Black history, which is history don't often get in schools. Like Matthew Henson, he was a Black Arctic explorer. And they really helped us explore our interests and taught us about working hard. And both my parents served in the Army. My dad retired. My mom works for the federal government still, but they kick butt and they raised some really good kids. So you can see my mom, my dad, and my little brother here. My little brother always gets sad because he's on the old school pictures. But I'm like, dude, you weren't around, back then. So chill. So I put a picture of him from his high school. We were skating his high school graduation last year. Next is leadership. Leadership is in my DNA. So I say that because some people constantly ask me, like, why do you have this like type A personality? Why are you just so energetic about things? Some people say like, oh, you're a self-promoter. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, you're too much of a Leslie Knope, and some of it's positive, some of it's negative, but like, I can't help who I am. So, these are various institutions. Like I said, my parents, I served as a volunteer firefighter when I was in college in Campbellsville and got to learn from the leadership of, these amazing firefighters. My college, Campbellsville University, taught us about student leadership. I was in musicals in high school, and I won a leadership award and stuff like that for that. And I got to learn from our awesome directors. The Red Cross been a big part of my life. I probably like volunteered like over 1,000 hours for Red Cross as a kid. And Outdoor Afro, I served as an Outdoor Afro leader for a year. It's an organization that gets African Americans the outdoors. And then another major institution is the U.S. Air Force. So I served in the Air Force, joined the Air Force when I was 19, the reserves, and I worked on F-16s. And Air Force is all about leadership, all about taking charge. And so these are just the institutions that helped me, that pushed me. Thank you. Someone said thank you for your service. That kind of formed my like leadership ethos, if that makes sense. And the Air Force, our slogan is fly, fight, win. And that's kind of like the mentality that I have about everything. Fly, fight, win. So, boom. Why are we here? Nature. So I started when I was in college in 2013. an Instagram account called @ExploreKentucky. I had a concept for it because I worked as part of the social media team at the Super Bowl in 2012 in Indianapolis. And so I saw the way that they were using social media to really tell the story and make of the experience there. So I took that concept back to Campbellsville and back to Kentucky. And I was like, man, y'all know like Kentucky is known for like bourbon, bluegrass, and basketball. Sorry, Gathan, who was the last speaker. I know he was all about bourbon, but that's the 3 Bs. And we're also known for some really negative things, you know, racism, all kinds of different things that in the national media. There's tropes that are perpetuated about Kentucky that aren't inherently true. So I was like, you know what? Let's use this new Instagram thing. So Instagram kind of just started popping off for me around 2012. And before, like, no one really had it. State Parks wasn't on it, Visit Lex wasn't on it, Kentucky Tourism. So I started early on as a tool to position Kentucky further as an outdoor recreation mecca through visuals. And so here in this slide, you can see like these are all photos from our Instagram. Some of these photos I've shot, some of these are photos curated that I've shared from people that use the hashtag Explore Kentucky. And it's grown to now, like, you know, over nearly 50,000 followers, over 200,000 people have used the hashtag. And it's just an amazing tool to connect with people. And I want to give a big shout out to my buddy, Zach Hannibal, who designed the logo. He's a guy that I worked with at a summer camp. And I was starting this and I was like, hey, we need a logo. And he designed it. So that's like this was the first logo right here on my shirt. So shout out to Zach. So clout chasing. Clout chasing. So clout chasing is a term that kids use. You know, it's kind of trying to, like, you're trying to get shine, get, you know, attention and stuff. And so whenever I first started Explore Kentucky, like, things were like, the media was like, hey, like, this Instagram thing was kind of new and phenomenal, and this guy's doing it. And so I was getting calls left and right. I had an article written about me in the paper, Social Media Renaissance Man, Explores Kentucky. It was a big deal. Lexington Herald wrote an article, Courier Journal, right here, this cool article, Backyard Adventures, I have it framed. Yeah, and so that was cool. And I could have, so right then I was like, you know, I could go the direction of like trying to get the people on Instagram that like sell like flat tummy tea and, you know, like use my code and you get a discount. But again, going back to that leadership ethos is like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to just be chasing clout. I don't want to just be getting discounts. I want to actually help people. And so during this period of time, I worked for the Nature Conservancy. I did a few different odd jobs and photojournalism jobs, work and stuff. But I was like kind of formulating my concept for what I wanted to do next, because I knew that this Explore Kentucky thing could be greater. And so then I added the I. So it went from Explore Kentucky to Explore Kentucky Initiative, because I wanted people to understand, like, hey, this is kinetic. We're moving. We're doing something. Initiative. So the goal is, short goal, our goal is to uplift these people in natural spaces. So that's 2016. I made it into a social enterprise. So I took it from a social media movement to a social enterprise. And I want to say shout out to my guy, Josh Patton, who designed that second logo. And he's been along with me for the ride, helping with a lot of the graphics and stuff for all the programs that I do. So around that time, Work by Rihanna kind of became my theme song. So my experience all through my life, my experiences helped me learn that nature wasn't accessible to everyone. There's systemic issues on why. Nature needed support to thrive. So like nature in itself is so threatened by us. You know, I think it's every minute a football field of forest. There's every minute there's one football field of trees is gone from the face of the earth. Kentucky also lacked an entity that operates at the intersection of outdoor recreation, environmental literacy, and ecotourism development and advocacy. So I wanted to become that. So I became that. Again, going back to that leadership, fly, fight, win mentality. So around about this time, I met a guy via Instagram. My buddy Preston Lacey, he's the stewardship director now for the Kentucky Natural Land Trust. And so we were like, everyone goes to the Gorge. If you know about the Gorge in the chat, please type like yes, if you do. But everyone goes to the Gorge. And so the KNLT, Kentucky Natural Land Trust, they are buying up a really awesome natural or a really awesome wildlife corridor called Pine Mountain. So they're trying to protect it. And they, so one piece of it that they bought, I believe it's the first piece of land they bought, was Bland Forest State Nature Preserve out in Harlan County. It's just astounding and beautiful. I think my friend Liv Taylor is on here right now. She's from Harlan, so she can probably tell you some really cool stories from there. But we started a guided hike series that year called the Explore Kentucky's Ancient Forest. It's a forest that this forest hasn't been logged since I think like the early 1800s, late 1700s or so. And it's just astounding. And so we use social media to invite people to the hike, to get diverse audiences and stuff to come on our hike and to come out to Harlan County. And that was just a great experience. And me and Preston just linked up off of Instagram and then started talking on the phone, met at the Louisville Public Library one cold winter morning and put this concept together, pushed it out to social media. And it went viral, and people immediately, like, it sold out. Two days of hiking sold out within like 30 minutes. So that's been an amazing partnership with KNLT. And these are just some pictures from Blanton Forest. And some really cool geological features. So this is like on the right, that's the rock we're on. It's called Knobby Rock. It was formed by differential weather. And then on the left, it's a part of the trail called the maze. It's really cool. You go to like boulder maze and weave through the earth and stuff. And it's just super cool. So, pause. So this is, I made a little film called Ascend in the Red for Kentucky tourism. And it's about rock climbing. I got some funds from Kentucky Tourism to make a rock climbing film, and it screened at Kentucky Heartwood's Wild and Scenic Film Festival. And the librarian at the time from Powell County, Julie, she was like, hey, she's like, I loved your film. Would you be interested in taking my kids rock climbing for the summer reading program? And so me, being a young buck at the time, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. But then I realized, oh, screw it. Hold up, we're in a very litigious country. So like, maybe I shouldn't do that. So I thought, let's bring the Gorge to the kids of Stanton. So one of the misconceptions is that Appalachian rural youth get outside more than urban youth, which is not necessarily true. In Powell County, a lot of folks, parents work 2 jobs and stuff like that, and they don't often get out to the Gorge. And so I was like, let's bring the Gorge to them. So we created, and again, shout out Josh Patton, we created a festival for this. He did this graphic. We created a festival called In My Backyard, Red River Gorge. And we had a rock climbing wall. I got a friend that's a professional rock climber, Drew, to bring like evolved like climbing shoes. We had a mountain bike rodeo, Miguel's Pizza. And we had like, at the time, Al Tonnell, who's a famous rock climber, he had donated, or he had made a book called Alone on the Wall. And so we had that as a summer reading book for the middle school and high schoolers. So it was just an awesome festival to bring the Gorge to the kids in downtown Stanton, Kentucky. These are just some photos from the festival. See on the left, folks from the Bluegrass Water Society or Association. There's a rock climbing wall, and then there's my friend Trish Coakley talking to a little girl about water quality or water sampling. Paddling is another aspect of my life. Paddling is probably like, I don't know, probably the number one way I probably engage with nature. If I could like live on the water, I like would. I don't know, I love water. It's so fluid, the sounds of it, the scenery of it. I don't know. just water. I love water. So these are just some pictures. This is on the left. That's a picture from a race, a whitewater stand-up paddleboard race I did this past February on the Elkhorn Creek here in Frankfurt. And then there's me and some friends, my girlfriend. We're on the Ohio River paddleboarding, and I love paddleboarding too. Paddleboarding is just the stuff. So yeah, and then there's some pictures of me in a kayaking at a race, 32 mile race called Chad Jack. It goes down in October, and it's like 30 degrees or 35 degrees when you do it. So what I wanted to do here with paddling, I wanted to kind of forge community. And so I got into racing because racing has its own kind of community. And so Kentucky didn't have like a big race scene. So I was like, you know what? Let's create a race scene. So I created the Kentucky Waterman Series. And it's a series of paddle sports race events that happen all around Kentucky. And it has different classes, canoe, kayak, stand-up paddleboard, and stuff like that. And here's just some pictures from some of the events, from Big South Fork to Addie on the Ohio River to on the Ohio and Louisville. We've been all around the state. And so since 2017, the series have been in every region of Kentucky, and then it expanded beyond the borders of Kentucky and into Indiana, Ohio, and Tennessee. And then I've worked with different local or different tourism and CBBs to promote the events and encourage people to come. It's generated thousands of hits on social media, and it has become a significant tool for rural tourism. And paddlers often visit the area outside the event weekend. Again, people plan their vacations around that. That's what's kind of cool. It's like people plan, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like super cool to think like people are like looking in freaking like, you know, December, and they're like, I'm planning my year around Gerry's like race events. I don't know, it's something interesting about that. And then there, like I said, it's starting to get media hits, and it's been in the newspaper, and it's been amazing. And then in this year, it transitioned to just the Waterman Series. So since it expanded out of state, I was like, you know what? It can't be just Kentucky anymore. It has to be just the Waterman Series, since it's in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Ohio. So moving along, and so I forgot to say this, is like what I'm showing you all are projects. These are projects that, going back to like leadership, is like that I'm trying to make the outdoors more accessible to everyone. I'm also trying to help nature, and one of the ways is through ecotourism, because politicians, local officials, they don't necessarily inherently care about environmentalism. I'm not saying that they all don't. I'm just saying that money talks. So if I can get people into these different areas, doing these events, doing these programs, and generating revenue, then there's more like onus for them to protect it. So I hope that I'm good on time. So one of the cool projects that I've been able to participate in is the Beaver Blueway Trail. And this is a really funny story. I was driving a bowling green, and I posted on my Instagram story that I'm driving a bowling green. And then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, I get a call. They're like, hey, this is the mayor's office in Glasgow. We saw like that you're going to Bowling Green. I was like, okay, cool. They're like, can you pull up? I'm paraphrasing. They didn't say pull up, of course, but I said pull up. But they said, can you pull up when you can? And the mayor wants to have words with you. And so I was like, okay. So I pull up, and the mayor's like, hey, we got this stream called Beaver Creek. Do you think it could be some place where people can paddle? And I was like, let's see it. So we go in the car, and I see it. So I ended up designing like a scope of work to clean up the stream along with my friend Carolyn Sexton. She's a geologist. And we basically created a cleanup plan. We mapped the stream. We designed like a whole robust program. We worked with the National Park Service to do it. So there's like our initial, in this canoe on the left, you can see our initial scout trip. And this stream was just covered, inundate. It was so much erosion, so much trees down in the stream because it had never been paddled and never been cleaned out. So there's some Sawyers from the National Park Service. We were down in the water in cold March 2018, you know, chainsawing trees, kicking them down the stream. There's me in the middle of the river with a backhoe. We're lifting this giant tree out the river. James Crump, he's the president of the commander of the VFW club in Glasgow. He helped me build access steps to get down to the creek. So it just, what was cool about that project is that this was a stream that no one in the community had really paddled, and we were able to make it accessible and draw in community partners, the VFW club, the city of Glasgow, the National Park Service. We got grants from the Beck and Bird Society in Louisville. The library was involved. And then there's me, like I said, we're digging those access points, the steps to get down, the egress steps to get down the river. And then we started, since 2018, we've had a community cleanup. So people either hike or paddle the stream and clean it up. And it's just been awesome. And the same people come back year to year. And so that's been a really amazing project. And one of the cool projects that I'm really excited, or one of the cool aspects, is that we added signage to it to make it a Blueway trail, so people could be safe on it, so they could know like what's their position on the stream. You know, am I mile 1? Am I mile 2? Is there a dam ahead? Is there a hazard area? Where's the put in? Where's the take out? So we designed these like really glorious signs, and they're super beautiful. And they actually where the graphics come from my friend Jordan Jung, who designed them. So that's another sign on the creek. Then moving along, and I should have said these years, but y'all can see the years at the top of the heading. So Red River Gorge United, that's a really awesome project that I've been able to be involved with. It is an advocacy campaign. So some of y'all might have, and you can say this in the chat, there was, in October, a lot of people found out, like last year, that there's a group that was trying to develop a resort in the gorge. And so there was some energy that sprung up around it. People were concerned about if you're tuning in, you're not from outside Kentucky. The River Gorge it's a national geological area. It's a canyon system, and it's really our outdoor hub for Kentucky: paddling, rock climbing, hiking, nature watching. And it has this kind of kitsy mom and pop small business environment. And so this group wanted to build a destination resort. And so locals and people kind of position around it. Thank you. I'm getting some hot chocolate for some reason. So locals and stuff kind of positioned around it, and I moved in to kind of help them. And so we formed an organization called Red River Gorge United, and it's an advocacy organization to support sustainable development in the gorge and protect its small business atmosphere. And so we started off with community planning or community planning summits to kind of garner what the community was trying to do and what their thoughts on it. And we also created a community survey. And this project is near and dear to my heart. And Jason briefly touched on it, and I hope that y'all hit that GoFundMe button hard, dump all your coins in there because we need it. But Cherokee State Park was Kentucky's first and only Black or African American state park, and it was the first African American state park in the South. And it was the only state park where African Americans go to during the Jim Crow era. Let's repeat that again. The only park that African Americans go to during the Jim Crow era, and it was on the banks of the Kentucky Lake, and it was one of the finest parks in the whole entire state park system. And it closed in the 60s, and it kind of sat dormant for a while. And then these elders kind of came around, my friend Dr. Nancy Dawson, and they formed a nonprofit called the Friends of Cherokee around 07, 08. I was like a pup back then. And they lobbied the state to give them, $600,000, the state to invest $600,000 to reinvigorate the park, revitalize its lodge. And so they did that, but then the nonprofit sat very dormant for years. And then I kind of approached them a few years ago, and I said like, hey, let's do a project together, and Dr. Dawson. And so we created this program called the Cherokee State Park Outdoor Adventure Weekend. And basically it's to bring Cherokee back to life, canoeing, kayaking, mountain biking, stuff like that. And it's just very important because a lot of people don't think, like, constantly ask me, it's like, why don't you see like a lot of African Americans in the outdoors? And I'm like, there's systemic issues on why. You know, we are historically disenfranchised from a lot of natural areas. Also, even to get to Cherokee, which is this oasis for African Americans, you have to go through sundown towns. Sundown towns are towns where that extreme racism where, you know, Black folk were supposed to be out after dark. So, you know, a lot of people, like a lot of these beautiful vistas that beautiful places we all love, back then they were dangerous for us to go to. And so there's those legacies. So like, my role with this project is to really help amplify it and people to know about the history and legacy of this. We were state park managers and rangers and stuff like that. And so Cherokee has all my heart. And I was just down there last week, and it's beautiful. And if you ever have a chance and you're down there, you can actually go there and see the lodge, see the signage. So this is Dr. Nancy Dawson, and then if you all know my friend Ashley Smith with Black Soil, she's involved in the project as well, and we all just formed this coalition. And we were going to have this Cherokee State Historic Park Outdoor Adventure Weekend this summer, but because of COVID, we had to cancel it and postpone it to 2021. So be sure to look for that and sign up and register and come. So as I transition out, I want to say, like, I just shared with y'all a few projects that are near and dear to my heart. And this is, like, for me, this is how I honor nature, by trying to get everyone into it, trying to figure out ways to support it and ways to protect it. And I think nature is important for mental health. It's important, really, really, really important for public health, obviously right now, especially. And I think it's also important to protect nature for nature's sake. So I just want to leave you with these prompts or questions: is how can I support nature? How can I get other people in nature? And with that, without further ado, that was my presentation, and I just appreciate it, y'all, for listening to me. Yeah.